welcome to another AQA Old Style Microeconomics Year 12 past paper multiple choice walkthrough. Again, I think it's really useful to all examples. Take a look, see if you can avoid getting caught out with these ones. Fundamental economic problem, we're dealing with unlimited wants, limited resources. I don't think they're going to give that to us all that easy. So option A, what, for whom and how goods should be produced? Yeah. If you have limited resources, you need to choose really carefully how to allocate them to make people as best off as possible. Economies of scale, we're looking at average cost reductions as output has increased. And we're looking for an example, so we're looking for marketing economies, financial economies, and you can see here that we've got option D as being the option, specialist management, that's managerial economies of scale. A merit good is a positive consumption externality, which may also have information failure. So it is provided by the free market, but not in enough quantity. Something like a merit good is something like healthcare. We want there to be more of that good provided, so A is the answer there. We have a supply curve for tennis rackets, and the upward slope is usually because of the profit motive and also being able to cover marginal costs. So here we go, we have that profit incentive because of the higher prices. Demand for capital goods is derived demand. Derived demand means the demand results from the demand of something else. So if people are buying lots of goods, the company is going to need to produce a lot of goods, and they're going to need lots of capital. So you can see the demand for the goods results from the demand for the capital. Here we have a positive consumption externality. It's a merit good. How do I know? Because the MSB is higher than the MPB at each level of output. This means your MEB is a positive number, which in this case is adding benefits onto other people. Just for those that don't know the equation, MSB equals MPB plus MEB. And yeah, initial equilibrium is at E. Why? Because the free market is selfish. So we get E, we get Q1. But ideally, we had fully considered all the benefits, all the costs of the decision, and ended up at Q2. So this, we want to get to Q2. So we're looking for policies that would increase the amount of the good available in this market. A subsidy increases quantity. Maximum prices, they reduce quantity. Minimum prices reduce quantity. Raising prices won't shift anything. They definitely don't want the price to go up because people are selfish. People are only consuming on the MPB, and if you raise the price, they'll want to consume a little bit less over here. As a result, that's the answer, but that's the answer because a subsidy of P2, P3 means you're subsidizing a height of P2, P3. So that would shift your supply curve down by P2, P3 exactly, which is that distance there. And if that happens, this is your MPC plus the subsidy. That's what's going to be produced by the firms, and consumers are going to demand that. So you can see that the new equilibrium will be at Q2. And that's the goal. You don't really care about the price, but the quantity has to be in the right price. A free good has which of the following characteristics? No opportunity cost. That's what you're looking for. That's the definition of that one. A value judgment is an opinion about what's right, what should be done, all those kinds of things. You're looking for something like that. So something about being wrong. Everything else, therefore, should be testable. So take a look and just make sure you haven't missed any out. You can test if beef is inelastic. You can test if economies of scale can lead to lower prices. You can test all those, but you can't test this idea that it's wrong because some people have different opinions as to what they value. Okay, question 9, we have a comprehension question, and we have cigarette prices increasing, quantity demanded by falling by less in high income countries, and quantity demanded falling by more in lower income countries. So we can see that they're a bit sensitive, a little bit more if you're lower income, to the changes in the price for cigarettes. Okay, so twice as addicted, right? We don't know anything about their addiction here. We just know their price behavior and their quantity behavior. Demand for cigarettes is price elastic. No, because quantity always responds by less than the price. Income elasticity of demand is higher. This is a trick. We actually have no income data here. We've just been given price data and quantity data. So we actually can only tell the PED is negative, right? Because if price goes up, quantity goes down, you put that into your PED equation and you'll get a negative number. We have a PPF and we're looking at something that has a trade-off. If you have a trade-off, you will be on your PPF somewhere. So which of the following movements involve a trade-off? And providing more of all the other goods. Right, which one involves a sacrifice? So everywhere between W, what does this mean? Oh, okay, so moving from V to W doesn't involve a trade-off because you get more of both goods. V to X, you get more X and you also get more Y. It looks like a little bit, but not, you get both. X to Y, you just can't produce that. I think that's going to be really unlikely. X to Z, that's the one. If you move to get more armaments, you will get less of the Y good. So we have an increase in the price of the good that's complementary. So if the joint goods become more expensive, people can demand the joint goods less. We're looking for less demand. And we need an increase in labor productivity. That's going to shift supply to the right because it reduces firms' costs of production. So we're looking for a shift of supply to the right and a shift of demand to the left, and that's the answer C. PED, just write down the equation. Quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. We're saying that the price increases by the same. Which provider will see the greatest proportional increase in revenue? Right, so if the price increases, remember two things. If it's elastic, revenue is falling. If it's inelastic, revenue is increasing. So I'm looking for something that's inelastic, and the most inelastic would be best. So all of these are inelastic. The one that's most inelastic is airlines, so the answer is D. Demand curve, prices set here. This economies of scale breaking up the monopoly is most likely to, okay, this economies of scale will reduce their costs and make the company smaller. Change output from OF. I don't think that's true because the monopoly right now isn't producing there. Increase productive efficiency by EF. Don't think that's how you define productive efficiency. EF is a quantity and productive efficiency should talk about costs. Results in a fall in price from OG. I think that's the one. If you get a reduction in costs because you are not having this economies of scale, you will have a reduction in your price. Marginal social cost is greater, so that means that every quantity such as Q1, the marginal social cost is the higher one, and the marginal private cost, we also have the social benefit being greater at Q1 than the marginal private benefit. The free market is going to choose MPB equal to MPC, which is QFM. And what would be socially optimum is if people had considered MSC and MSB, which is QSO. So there will definitely be a misallocation of resources. There is positive externalities in consumption, not production. And this is a negative externality in production. These are the wrong way around. They're tricking you. Question 15, a tradable pollution permit. These are pieces of kind of paper, legal papers that you can exchange that allows you to regulate the quantity of carbon or pollution into the system. So, and firms have to buy and sell it. They have to buy and sell it the idea is that highly polluting firms will have to pay a higher price for all the carbon that they have to pollute. They'll have to need a lot of these pollution permits, and the good firms, the ones that pollute very little, will be able to sell the extra pollution permits they have, and then this way they get rewarded for not polluting very much. So it will be bought by a firm if the price is less than the social cost. Okay, firms don't care about social costs. They profit maximize. They care only about the costs that they face. So I don't think that is making sense. Equalize externalities in production. No, a pollution permit is designed to make MSC equal MSB to reach the social optimum quantity, but doesn't necessarily need to have any positive externalities. It's designed to reduce the negative externalities arising from pollution. That's it. Why? Because it's going to encourage polluting firms to pay higher prices, so they will pollute less. They'll shift the supply curve left because they've had to pay all this higher price. And as a result, they will end up producing less, so they will have less negative externalities. Demand and supply curves for wheat. We have that, this is probably extension material, by the way. The European Union is trying here to maintain OP2. If they try this, they will have this much supply and they will have this much demand. So they're going to have excess supply of quantity, in this case Q3 minus Q2. And it says it's going to try and maintain this price by intervention buying. So that means they're going to take all the extra stock off the market. So the EU needs to buy all the extra stock, which is Q3, take it off the market. That way the quantity supplied is not over there anymore and it equals Q2. So they're going to have to take all that out of the market, and that will cost them P2 for all the units that they do this for. So C looks to be the answer for that one. Smoking in England became illegal in 2007. Government failure, we're looking for something that's resulted in a net welfare loss. So if the government intervention led to social costs, an increase in social costs higher than the social benefits, that would be an example of government intervention. So I'm looking for something that has really high social costs, such high social costs that starts to outweigh the social benefits of the decision itself to intervene in the market. If tax revenue fell, that would be less of a, I suppose, a benefit of intervening. But it's good that cigarette sales fell. So it looks like, yeah, the benefit is falling because there's less tax revenue, but at the same time there's lots of benefits because there's less cigarettes sales falling. Personally, I think that the cigarette sales falling would be better than the tax revenue. The economic benefits arising from the ban were outweighed. Oh, that's the definition, that's what we've just said. Specialization require means of exchanging. Yeah, if you have a really specialized company, so if you only make pens, you're going to have a really tough luck at paying your workers unless you can pay them something other than pens. So the idea is you sell your pens, you get money, you give your workers money, and then that way your workers can buy food, housing, and they're happy to keep working. Okay, question 19. Here we have the marginal social cost being higher than the marginal private cost at each level of output. So this is a negative production externality. And this one's a positive consumption externality because it's demand. To work out the optimum number of visitors, we need to find where MSC equals MSB. So I'm going to highlight this, highlight that one, and we get T. But not just the T person will arrive. Everyone, including the T person, is how many people should go there. So the answer is C. One reason why the free market fails to achieve optimum resource allocation is because I'm looking for an externality, a public good problem, something like this. Public goods are provided free of charge that they're not provided in a free market. That sounds odd. Positive externalities lead to overproduction. No, they'll lead to underconsumption or underproduction. There is underproduction of goods. That's the answer. 20 is C. Labor productivity in an economy is likely to improve. Okay, if there is a better technology, because labor productivity is the quantity of your output divided by like your labor. So if all of this increases, it's either because you've got more quantity or less labor. And there's more capital per worker. The workers will be able to become more productive because they'll have all these machines that help them better utilize their labor, and they'll produce more output per person. We have disposable income, and from 2004 to 2009, we can see that the lowest 20% of earners have a smaller share of disposable income. It's gone from 10 to 6. And the top earners have more of the disposable income. So I reckon this is going to tell us about some kind of inequality getting worse. We don't know about total disposable income. We've only been told the share of disposable income. The rich, we don't know about what's happening to total incomes. Total disposable income remained constant. Yeah, we don't know what's happening to total disposable income. It could have changed. We just know the share of it's changed. There's a small increase in inequalities between 2007 and 2009. Let me check. So the lowest have a smaller share of income, and the higher earners have a higher share of income. Yeah, more unequal. Question 23, we have an average cost curve, and it's moving from being productively inefficient to being efficient. So it's going to end up at H. It was inefficient when output changes from, just reread the question, average cost for a business. I don't know, actually first like a second glance, I think this is a trick. So A is saying G to H. That has no change in the costs. So it was efficient before. Same with C. It was efficient before. So I reckon the answer is, what could it be? F to G, that would be an improvement, which is not an option. Or J to I, which is not an option. J to G. Okay, this was a great question. J to G, that's the answer. So you're going from a higher average cost position to a lower average cost position, which means it's improving its efficiency. And it is efficient because the costs are now minimized at G. Market for steel. It produces negative externalities in production. So let me just draw the full diagram, and sometimes I miss that out. This would be the MPC. Government agrees to limit the production of steel, reducing output from OQ1 to OQ2. To achieve this end, government could, okay, you don't want to offer a subsidy because that's going to lead to more production. Maximum prices reduce, minimum prices reduce, taxes reduce. I'm going to go with one of those. I reckon it's going to be a tax of P2, P3. Yeah, tax of P2, P3 means a tax is this much. It means it shifts your supply curve there. And it means your firms will produce at MPC plus T, which coincides with the demand curve at Q2. So therefore Q2 has been reached. I reckon it's not B and C, even though they're tempting, because I think they'll probably be the wrong way around. I think a maximum price you want to put below the equilibrium, that should be below, it's actually above right now. And the same with the other one, I think that's just the wrong way around. A pure public good is non-rival and non-excludable. I'm looking for something like that, which it doesn't look like they've told me. Provided by the government for all consumers. It's not always, by the way. Governments can choose not to provide public goods. Provided free of charge for all consumers. Then not always. I mean, they're not always. Suppose you can try and sell them. Available for consumption by others. Yeah, this is the definition of non-rival. Public goods are always non-rival in addition to non-excludable. Hopefully that was really useful to you. Have a look at some other multiple choice questions and really improve and refine your year 1 microeconomics knowledge. Thanks. Bye.